The spaceship descended slowly over the gleaming towers of Zyphora, the capital city of a proud alien civilization. Its sleek silver surface reflected the twin suns as it hovered above the royal palace. Inside, Elias, the human engineer, felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. He had traveled across countless light years, but nothing had prepared him for the sight of this strange alien world. Zyphora was unlike any planet he had ever seen. The buildings stretched high into the sky, shaped like spiraling crystals that glowed softly in colors he could barely name. Flying vehicles zipped between towers with perfect precision. The air was thick with unfamiliar scents, but strangely refreshing. People, well, aliens, moved with grace, their limbs longer and more flexible than human limbs, their skin shimmering in different shades depending on their mood. Elias had read about them, but seeing them in person was entirely different. "Welcome to Zyphora," said a voice over the intercom. Elias turned to see a small robot hovering beside him. "I am the royal guide, and I will accompany you to the palace." Elias nodded. "Thank you. I hope I can understand their customs quickly." The robot's lights flickered. "Adaptation is recommended. The royal court values precision, intelligence, and respect for hierarchy. Any mistake may be noted immediately." Elias smiled faintly. Humans had always faced challenges with adaptability. If anything, this was an opportunity to prove that human cleverness could match alien sophistication. As they approached the palace, Elias caught his first glimpse of the royal court in session. Aliens in long, flowing garments stood in organized ranks, speaking in soft, melodic tones. At the center of it all was Princess Lysera, her presence commanding yet elegant. Her eyes were a deep violet, and her movements were so precise that every gesture seemed deliberate. She glanced briefly at the approaching spaceship, a spark of curiosity in her gaze. Elias was escorted through towering gates and down polished corridors that seemed to shimmer with light. Every step echoed in the vast halls. Servants, guards, and officials paused to look at him. He could feel the weight of their scrutiny, but he kept his posture straight, his expression calm. When he finally entered the throne room, the entire court turned their attention to him. Aliens whispered among themselves, their voices like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Elias bowed politely, following the customs he had studied for weeks. "Elias of Earth," announced a high-ranking official. "You are now in the presence of Princess Lysera and the Royal Council. You will present your purpose here." Elias straightened. "Thank you. I am here to study Ziphoran technology, to understand your innovations, and to share knowledge from my world. I hope to contribute to mutual understanding between our peoples." A hush fell over the court. The aliens were known for their pride and caution. Many had assumed humans were unpredictable or reckless. That a human could speak with such composure surprised them. Lysera's violet eyes scanned Elias carefully. She noted the way he carried himself, the confidence without arrogance. It was unusual. She had seen humans before, but none had left a strong impression on her. There was something about him, his calm in the face of scrutiny, his intelligence, his sense of respect, that intrigued her. "Very well," she said finally. Her voice was clear and melodic, carrying authority. "You may observe our technology, but you must follow our rules. Any deviation will be noted." "Yes, Princess," Elias replied, bowing slightly. He could see a few court members exchanging doubtful glances. They were not used to humans being so disciplined, so precise, or so respectful. Over the next few hours, Elias was introduced to various departments of the royal palace. He examined devices that glowed with strange energy, machines that moved without visible power, and holographic maps of distant star systems. He asked questions, each carefully chosen to show interest and understanding. While many aliens answered politely, none impressed him as much as Lysera, who occasionally appeared to watch his reactions from a distance. The first real test came unexpectedly. A young court engineer was adjusting a delicate energy conduit when a miscalculation caused the machine to spark dangerously. Before anyone could react, Elias stepped forward, analyzing the situation. "Turn off the main stabilizer and redirect the secondary flow through this channel," he instructed calmly. The engineer hesitated, but Elias's clear confidence inspired trust. The engineer followed his instructions. Sparks stopped, and the machine settled safely. The court was stunned. Never before had a human acted so decisively in a critical situation in the royal palace. Whispers spread quickly. Even Lysera raised an eyebrow, a subtle but unmistakable sign of approval. "You have quick thinking," she said quietly, as the engineers bowed and stepped back. "Most humans would panic in such a situation." Elias gave a modest smile. "We learn to adapt. Survival often depends on thinking clearly under pressure." Lysera's curiosity deepened. She had grown up among highly disciplined aliens, where problem-solving followed strict rules. Yet here was a human, using creativity and instinct together, achieving what many experts could not. The rest of the day passed with cautious observation. Elias continued to ask questions, take notes, and interact respectfully with the court. Despite initial doubts, many of the courtiers began to admire his intelligence and calm demeanor. As evening fell, the palace gardens glowed with bioluminescent plants. Elias walked among them with Lysera at his side, observing the delicate structures and glowing flowers. Though the princess did not speak much, her eyes never left him. She was silently studying this human who had, in one day, impressed the royal court, and most importantly, captured her attention. Elias looked around the gardens, feeling both awe and a strange sense of belonging. Humans were far from home, but perhaps that was what made them special: adaptable, clever, and resilient. Traits that could change the course of history, even on a distant world like Zephyra. Lysera broke the silence. "You are unlike the humans I have known," she said softly. "Most are careless, but you observe, you calculate, and you act when necessary." Elias smiled. "I try my best. I have much to learn from you as well. Your technology, your society, it is remarkable." For the first time in her life, Lysera felt something unusual, an interest in a human that went beyond curiosity. There was respect, yes, but also a spark of admiration for his ingenuity, his courage, and his composure. She did not yet know how this feeling would grow, but something inside her told her that this human, Elias, was different. As night fell over Zephyra, the twin moons casting a silver glow over the palace, Elias looked at the stars and thought about the journey ahead. He was far from Earth, surrounded by beings whose ways were alien, yet he felt a strange confidence. Humans were small in number compared to the vast universe, but they carried a spark of creativity, bravery, and intelligence that could shine even among the stars. And for the first time, the royal court, and especially Princess Lysera, would see exactly what made humans special. The next morning, the royal palace of Zephyra buzzed with activity. Servants moved gracefully through the halls, carrying trays of glowing food and delicate crystal tools. Guards patrolled in precise patterns, their steps perfectly synchronized. The air was filled with soft humming, a combination of technology and the natural resonance of the palace's energy fields. Elias awoke in the guest quarters, a sleek room filled with soft light and walls that seemed to change color based on the time of day. Though the environment was alien, he felt comfortable. Humans had a way of adjusting quickly, and he reminded himself that adaptability was one of humanity's greatest strengths. After a brief breakfast of unfamiliar but edible foods, he was escorted to the Technological Observation Hall, where he was to begin his study of Zephyrin devices in detail. Engineers and technicians from all over the palace gathered, curious about the human who had already impressed the royal court the previous day. "Good morning, Elias," said one of the senior engineers, a tall alien named Calith. His skin shimmered a deep green as he spoke. "I must admit your actions yesterday were unexpected. Most outsiders would have caused panic." Elias smiled politely. "I observed the situation, and I acted based on what I understood. Sometimes the right solution is simple if you remain calm." Calith nodded slowly. "Indeed, calmness is rare among humans, it seems. Let us see how you handle more complex devices." The engineers led Elias to a massive energy conduit, a machine larger than any he had ever seen on Earth. Tubes of glowing liquid ran through it, and floating panels displayed calculations in a language unfamiliar to him. Yet he studied the device carefully, noting patterns and sequences. Princess Lysera arrived quietly, observing from a distance. Unlike other nobles, she did not demand attention. Instead, she watched silently, her violet eyes scanning Elias's every move. She had seen intelligence before, but human intelligence was different. It was creative, flexible, and bold. She found herself curious about him in ways she did not understand. Elias asked thoughtful questions about the device, and the engineers answered, impressed by his careful observation and genuine interest. He suggested minor adjustments to optimize the energy flow. Though the engineers had never considered such changes, they reluctantly implemented them, and the machine ran smoother than ever before. "Remarkable," Calith murmured. "A human mind can see what we cannot." Lysera stepped closer, intrigued. "Elias, your method of reasoning is unusual. Most beings here follow strict protocols. You seem to combine logic with intuition." Elias shrugged lightly. "Sometimes rules guide us, but sometimes rules limit us. Observing, thinking, and then acting allows solutions to appear that are not obvious at first." Her violet eyes held his gaze. "You may be human, but you do not act like one I expected. That is refreshing." Meanwhile, whispers traveled through the court. Aliens who had long believed humans to be reckless or unworthy of attention now found themselves questioning their assumptions. A human, a stranger, was showing qualities that rivaled the most skilled Zephyrin engineers. Later in the day, a formal meeting took place in the council chamber, where Elias was to present a small demonstration of human technology. He had prepared a device from his ship, a simple yet elegant tool that could analyze energy flows and predict failures in complex machines. As he explained its functions, translating human concepts into Zephyrin terminology, Lysera watched him closely. She admired how he spoke confidently yet humbly, respecting their knowledge while offering new insights. She could see that he was not trying to overshadow anyone. He simply wanted to contribute. A few council members exchanged skeptical looks. Some of the older nobles whispered that humans could not understand Zephyrin's science fully. Yet, Elias's demonstration worked flawlessly, predicting and correcting small errors that had puzzled the council for months. One elder engineer, Virel, finally stood. "This human, he does not follow our rules, yet he achieves results. Perhaps we have underestimated outsiders." His voice carried a mixture of surprise and respect. Lysera smiled faintly, a rare display of emotion. "Indeed, we should always remember that intelligence and skill are not limited by origin. Courage, creativity, and respect are qualities that matter more than ancestry." As the day wore on, Elias continued learning and working alongside the engineers. He quickly adapted to their complex systems, combining human ingenuity with Zephyrin precision. Each successful task increased not only his confidence, but also the admiration of those around him. In the palace gardens that evening, Lysera approached him quietly. The glowing plants cast soft light over her features, and Elias noticed the intensity in her violet eyes. "You handled the energy conduit and the council demonstration exceptionally well," she said softly. "I have seen many experts fail, yet you succeed without arrogance or fear." Elias smiled. "Thank you, Princess. I am learning from you as well. Your technology, your society, it is far beyond what I imagined. Observing and understanding it is a privilege." She nodded. "Most outsiders would never gain this opportunity. You respect our ways, but you also show creativity. That combination, it is rare." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of a group of nobles who had grown uneasy with Elias's rising influence. They exchanged glances and whispered to each other, plotting ways to remind the court that a human's presence should not overshadow theirs. Elias noticed the tension, but did not react. Humans were accustomed to challenges, to skepticism from those who feared change. He understood that respect had to be earned through action, not words. Lysera stayed with him until night fully fell, the twin moons reflecting on the crystal towers of the palace. "You have changed the court's perception of humans, Elias," she said quietly. "Whether you realize it or not, your presence here matters more than you think." Elias looked at the stars above Xiphora, feeling a sense of purpose. Humans were far from home, yet they carried a spark that could inspire even the most advanced civilizations: courage, intelligence, and empathy. These were traits that could bridge worlds, even across the vastness of space. As they parted for the evening, Elias felt a growing bond with the princess. He respected her wisdom and skill, and she admired his ingenuity and spirit. In a court where hierarchy and tradition ruled, their connection was unusual, but undeniable. And while other nobles plotted and whispered, one thing became clear. Elias, the human, was no ordinary outsider. He had earned the attention of Princess Lysera, and that attention was about to change the course of their story. Forever. The palace of Xiphora glimmered in the morning light, its crystal towers reflecting the twin suns like shards of liquid gold. Today, the court was in full assembly, for an unusual event was scheduled, a ceremonial demonstration of the kingdom's greatest technological marvel, the ether core, which powered not only the palace but the city's energy grid. Elias, escorted by the royal guides, entered the throne room with quiet confidence. The grand hall was vast, filled with nobles, engineers, and high-ranking officials. At the center, the ether core shimmered like a living crystal, glowing in hues that seemed to shift with the mood of the room. It was said that only the most skilled Zephyran minds could maintain the core's delicate balance. Princess Lysera stood near the core, her violet eyes scanning the assembly. She noticed Elias immediately. "He will observe today?" she murmured to herself. "Perhaps he will see things others cannot." The ceremony began. The court engineers demonstrated their control over the core, manipulating energy flows and showing the core's perfect harmony. The audience applauded at each success. Yet, as the demonstration reached its climax, a sudden shudder ran through the core. Energy fluctuated violently, and alarms blared across the chamber. Gasps echoed through the court. The elders of the council froze, their long years of experience suddenly insufficient to stabilize the core. The flowing light of the crystal dimmed in patches, and the air vibrated with dangerous energy. Panic threatened to spread, but Elias did not flinch. He stepped forward. His voice was calm but firm. "Step back and clear the area. Let me see the core's output patterns." Caliph and other engineers hesitated. "We cannot risk this, human. It is beyond anyone's control." Elias shook his head. I have studied the principles of your core. Let me try. I will not endanger anyone. Lysera's gaze locked on him, a mixture of concern and trust in her eyes. Do what you must, Elias, but be careful. The court reluctantly gave him space. Elias approached the core, analyzing its fluctuating energy patterns. He noticed something the engineers had missed, a minor misalignment in one of the auxiliary energy channels that, though tiny, threatened to cascade into a full system failure. He spoke calmly, giving precise instructions. Divert energy flow through the secondary conduits. Adjust the stabilization matrix incrementally. Synchronize the harmonic regulators in sequence starting from Sector 12. The engineers, following his clear guidance, worked quickly. Slowly, the core's violent fluctuations subsided. Light returned to the crystal, pulsing steadily. The alarms stopped. The court exhaled in relief. A hush fell over the hall. For the first time in centuries, a human had corrected the ether core when the most experienced Zephoran minds could not. Princess Lysera stepped forward, her violet eyes wide with admiration. Elias, your understanding of our systems is remarkable. You acted with precision, courage, and intelligence. Most beings would have fled in fear. You are exceptional. Elias bowed respectfully. Thank you, Princess. I only did what I could to help. Observing and understanding your technology made this possible. Whispers filled the chamber. Nobles exchanged uneasy glances, some secretly impressed, others quietly resentful. Yet no one could deny the truth. The human had saved the palace from a potential disaster. Virel, the elder engineer who had once doubted him, approached. Human, you have shown skill beyond expectation. Perhaps we have been wrong about outsiders. His voice was filled with reluctant respect. Lysera's lips curved in a faint smile. Indeed. Skill, intelligence, and courage are qualities that matter more than ancestry or origin. Elias has proven this. The remainder of the day passed with Elias assisting in the core's recalibration. He worked seamlessly with the engineers, suggesting small optimizations that improved efficiency. Even Caliph, initially skeptical, had to admit that the human's insights were valuable. During a quiet moment in the palace gardens, Lysera approached him again. The twin moons reflected on the glowing crystal flowers, casting soft light over the scene. You did more than save the core, Elias, she said quietly. You showed the court what humans are capable of. That takes courage and intelligence, and something more. The ability to act when others cannot. Elias looked at her, sensing a deeper meaning behind her words. I have learned much from observing your people and your technology. But courage, perhaps it is something humans carry naturally. We learn to act even when the odds seem impossible. Lysera nodded thoughtfully. It is rare for anyone, human or alien, to act with such clarity under pressure. I admire it. Meanwhile, the whispers among the nobles grew louder. Some admired Elias, though grudgingly. Others plotted, uneasy that a human, an outsider, was gaining recognition in the royal court. Yet Lysera's approval carried weight, and her subtle influence began to shift opinions. As night fell, Elias returned to his quarters, tired but satisfied. He reflected on the day's events, realizing that humans were often underestimated in the galaxy, not because they lacked skill, but because others did not recognize their adaptability, courage, and creative thinking. Lysera watched him from a distance, her thoughts a mixture of fascination and something she could not name. This human had not only solved a technical crisis, but had done so in a way that demonstrated qualities she valued highly. She could not deny it. Elias was extraordinary. In the quiet of the night, The palace seemed to hum with energy, as if recognizing the shift that had occurred. A human, small in number and far from home, had proven that courage, intelligence, and innovation could stand even among the most advanced beings in the universe. And for Princess Lysera, one truth became clear. She had never met anyone like Elias before, and somehow, she knew that their story was only beginning. The grand hall of Zephora gleamed under the light of the twin suns, polished crystal surfaces reflecting every movement with perfect clarity. Today, the court had gathered for a rare ceremonial event, a presentation of loyalty and achievement within the royal court. Nobles from across the planet had arrived, their flowing garments shimmering in every color of the spectrum. The air was thick with expectation. Elias entered the hall, calm but alert. The events of the past days had changed how he was seen. No longer just a visiting human, he had proven his intelligence, courage, and adaptability. The court still whispered about him, some in admiration, others in envy, but all eyes were now on him. Princess Lysera stood at the front, regal and poised as always. Her violet eyes scanned the assembly before settling on Elias. Today, she would make a choice known to all, a choice that would surprise many and mark a turning point for both human and Zephoran relations. The ceremony began with a demonstration of loyalty, as officials presented reports of their achievements and contributions. One by one, courtiers recited their deeds, earning applause and approval from the audience. Then, Lysera raised her hand, signaling the gathering to quiet down. The murmurs of the crowd faded instantly. "Today," she began, her voice carrying with crystal clarity across the hall, "we recognize the contributions of those who have shown extraordinary skill and courage." She paused, her violet eyes locking on Elias. "Among them is a being unlike any we have encountered before, a human." A ripple of shock passed through the court. Humans were outsiders, rarely seen in such close proximity to the royal family. Some nobles exchanged uneasy glances, whispering about propriety and tradition. Yet Lysera's calm, confident demeanor left no room for question. "Elias," she said, stepping forward, "your actions in recent days have not only demonstrated intelligence and bravery, but they have also shown qualities that this court values above all else: respect, ingenuity, and loyalty." The assembly was silent, hanging on her words. Elias bowed slightly, his expression modest. "Thank you, Princess. I only did what I could." Lysera smiled faintly, a rare gesture that carried warmth and approval. Then, with a deliberate motion, she raised her hand and declared, "That human is mine!" The hall erupted in gasps. Courtiers froze, unable to speak. Nobles whispered in disbelief, their eyes wide. Some were astonished by the boldness of the declaration. Others were uneasy at the idea of a human being recognized so openly by the princess. Lysera continued, her voice steady and commanding. "I have observed many beings in this court, yet Elias has shown qualities that are rare and invaluable. Courage, intelligence, adaptability, and respect. These are the traits that matter most, not origin or species. This human has earned my recognition, and I acknowledge him as one whose presence is valued by the crown." Elias remained composed, his mind focused on the significance of her words. Recognition by a princess in this world was not given lightly, and he understood the weight of such acknowledgement. Yet he also felt a sense of belonging, as if his efforts and skills were finally seen for what they truly were. Some nobles, however, were less accepting. A few whispered in groups, concerned that this human might upset the balance of power within the court. They had long held influence over the princess, and now they faced a being who had earned her respect through merit alone. Lysera noticed their unease but paid no attention. She had always valued strength and intelligence above all else, and she would not compromise her judgment for tradition or fear. Her decision was clear. Recognition must be based on merit, and Elias had proven himself worthy. Turning to Elias, she said, "You have changed perceptions in this court. You have shown that humans are capable of great ingenuity and courage. Others may doubt, but your actions speak for themselves." Elias bowed once again. "I am honored, Princess. I have learned much from observing your people and your ways. I hope to continue contributing and proving myself worthy of your trust." The audience watched in silence. Even those who had doubted him could not deny his achievements. The human had not only proven his intelligence and bravery, but had also demonstrated qualities that the Zephorans respected above all else. Lysera gestured for him to step closer, and Elias obeyed. "Let this be a lesson to all in the court," she said, her voice resonating. "True merit is recognized regardless of species or origin. Courage, intelligence, and loyalty are what matter most, and Elias has shown these in abundance." Some nobles began to nod, slowly acknowledging the truth in her words. Others remained skeptical, their whispers soft but present. Still, the atmosphere in the hall had shifted. Recognition had been given, and it was clear that Elias's presence could not be ignored. After the ceremony, Lysera and Elias walked together through the palace gardens. The glowing flora cast soft light over the path, creating a serene environment amidst the tension of court politics. "You made a bold declaration today," Elias said quietly. "I did not expect such openness in front of the entire court." Lysera looked at him, her violet eyes reflecting a mixture of pride and curiosity. "It is rare to encounter someone who earns recognition purely by merit. You have changed the way I see humans, and perhaps the court will follow." Elias smiled faintly. "I only acted as I thought best. I did not seek recognition." "That is why it carries so much weight," Lysera said. "Most beings act out of desire for status or reward. You act because it is necessary, because it is right. That is what makes you remarkable." They walked in silence for a while, the hum of the palace energy fields mixing with the gentle whispers of the bioluminescent plants. In that quiet moment, a bond was forming, one based on mutual respect and understanding, strengthened by courage and intelligence. Meanwhile, in the halls of the palace, the court began to adjust. The nobles who had doubted Elias now considered the implications of Lysera's declaration. Some grudgingly admired him, others plotted, but none could ignore the truth. The human had earned recognition and respect, and in the mind of Princess Lysera, a new thought took root. This human, this outsider, was unlike any she had ever known. He had shown courage, intelligence, and loyalty, qualities she valued above all else, and she knew, deep inside, that their story was only beginning. As the twin moons rose over Zephora, casting silver light across the palace towers, Elias looked out over the city. He was far from Earth, surrounded by beings whose ways were alien. Yet he felt a sense of purpose. Humans were small in number, but they carried a spark that could shine across the stars. And now, that spark had been recognized in a place as proud and advanced as the royal court of Zephora. The days following Princess Lysera's public declaration were filled with a mixture of awe, curiosity, and cautious respect within the royal court. Elias moved through the palace with quiet confidence. His presence now acknowledged by all as someone of importance, not by birth, but by skill, courage, and intelligence. Nobles whispered, some with admiration, others with unease, but there was no denying the human had made a lasting impression. Lysera observed him closely. Her violet eyes seemed to follow his every move, noting how naturally he adapted to the complex rhythms of the palace. He spoke politely to everyone, assisted the engineers without arrogance, and even offered suggestions that improved efficiency in daily operations. Humans, she realized, had a unique ability to combine observation with action, a combination rare in the highly disciplined, structured world of Xiphora. One morning, the palace received urgent news. A nearby research station had experienced a severe energy fluctuation, threatening to overload its systems and potentially cause a citywide blackout. The council panicked. Traditional protocols required careful deliberation, but time was short. Elias stepped forward. "We need to analyze the core patterns first, then stabilize the energy flow gradually. I can help." Some of the senior engineers exchanged skeptical glances. "This is beyond what we have attempted," Calith said. "A mistake could be catastrophic." Princess Lysera intervened firmly. "Elias has already proven his abilities. Allow him to act." Elias nodded, moving quickly to the communications panel. He instructed the engineers to reroute minor energy flows and adjust the stabilizers according to his observations. Step by step, the fluctuations diminished. Within hours, the station returned to normal. The court and the city breathed a collective sigh of relief. Lysera approached him afterward. "Once again, you have proven that humans can achieve extraordinary results, even under pressure," she said, her tone both admiring and thoughtful. "Your presence has changed the court's perspective." Elias bowed respectfully. "I only act with the knowledge I have and the observation I can make. I am learning from you and your people as well." Word of his actions spread quickly across Xiphora. Scholars, engineers, and even the younger members of the court began to recognize the value of human ingenuity. Humans were no longer just outsiders. They were innovators, problem solvers, and contributors capable of bridging gaps between worlds. Over time, Lysera and Elias began working more closely. He assisted in optimizing palace systems, designing improvements that blended human innovation with Xiphoran technology. Together, they developed devices that improved energy efficiency, communications, and environmental control throughout the palace and city. The court watched with a mixture of admiration and concern. Some nobles slowly accepted that humans brought a new kind of strength, one that combined creativity with resilience. Others plotted quietly, wary that outsiders could gain too much influence. Yet Lysera's approval carried authority, and the humans' abilities could not be ignored. One evening, Lysera and Elias stood on the palace terrace overlooking the glowing city below. The twin moons cast silver light over the crystalline towers, and the streets shimmered with the gentle glow of energy conduits. "You have done more than demonstrate skill," Lysera said quietly. "You have changed the way humans are seen here. Your actions inspire confidence, curiosity, and respect." Elias smiled faintly. "I never expected such acknowledgement. I only hoped to learn and contribute. It seems that humans have a way of surprising others, even in distant worlds." Lysera's expression softened. "Yes, you have a spark. A spark that reminds me that courage and intelligence are not limited by species. Your presence shows the court that merit matters more than origin." The palace, once a place of rigid hierarchy and strict tradition, began to embrace a new perspective. Engineers collaborated more openly, scholars explored innovative ideas, and even the younger nobles sought Elias's guidance in understanding human approaches to problem-solving. In the months that followed, the human presence became a symbol of unity and progress. Where there had been doubt, there was now respect. Where there had been suspicion, there was curiosity. And where there had been fear of change, there was hope. Lysera observed these changes with satisfaction. The court had become more adaptable, more willing to embrace new ideas. And at the center of it all stood Elias, a human whose courage, intelligence, and respect had reshaped their perception of outsiders. One day, the court convened a special assembly to honor achievements and contributions. Lysera raised her hand once again, her violet eyes meeting Elias's with warmth and recognition. "This human," she said clearly, "has shown that true strength lies not in origin, but in action. Intelligence, courage, and respect are universal values. Let all of Xiphora remember that humanity is worthy of trust and admiration." The audience erupted in applause, some enthusiastic, some hesitant, but none could deny the truth in her words. Humans had proven themselves, and Elias had become a symbol of that proof. After the ceremony, Lysera and Elias walked through the palace gardens, their steps slow and thoughtful. The glowing flora and the gentle hum of energy created an atmosphere of peace and optimism. "You have changed more than perceptions," Lysera said softly. "You have changed attitudes, inspired others, and shown what humans are capable of. I am proud to recognize you, not as an outsider, but as someone whose presence matters." Elias looked at her, feeling a profound sense of fulfillment. "I am honored, Princess. I have learned so much, and I hope to continue proving myself worthy. Perhaps one day humans and Xiphorans can work together more closely, across planets and civilizations." Lysera smiled. "Perhaps they will, and perhaps this is only the beginning." As night fell over Xiphora, the city sparkled under the twin moons, a testament to ingenuity, courage, and collaboration. Elias stood beside Lysera, no longer just a visitor or an outsider, but a respected member of the court, a human who had shown that bravery, intelligence, and perseverance could shine across the stars. The story of a human on an alien world became a story of unity, recognition, and hope. Humans were small in number, yet their potential was immense. Through courage, intelligence, and respect, they could earn the trust and admiration of even the most advanced civilizations. And for Princess Lysera and the royal court, that lesson had been learned, not in theory, but in action, through the deeds of one remarkable human named Elias. The stars above Xiphora shone brightly, reflecting the possibilities of a universe where humans could stand proud among the stars, capable of shaping worlds and inspiring civilizations.